The story begins with a woman who wakes up next to our protagonist, Joo Shan. She had been his girlfriend for 4 years. She got out of bed and began getting ready for work. Silently, she left the room without waking him. Joo Shan opened his eyes and talked about how he had been dating Ting Ting for 4 years. Eventually, he made a tough decision and got out of bed. He met Ting Ting in the kitchen, washing dishes. She asked him how he had slept. She mentioned that their parents would be visiting on the weekend. At that moment, Joo Shan asked to break up with Ting Ting. She froze for a moment and turned off the faucet. Ting Ting was confused, and Joo Shan firmly repeated his request. She thought he might be joking, but he was dead serious. Ting Ting didn't respond and hurried off to work, asking him to talk things out later. As she rushed, she tripped, and their morning ended in awkward silence. Shortly afterward, Joo Shan met a woman who had already broken up with her boyfriend and asked about his situation. He confessed that he had brought up the breakup in the morning but asked for more time. He held her hands and assured her they could be together soon. The woman, who had waited for 2 years, couldn't believe it and slapped him. She declared their breakup and threw a cup at him in frustration. Suddenly, someone yelled "cut," and it turned out to be a film set. The main character was giving advice to the actors for the scene. The actress was concerned about her expressions, so the main character provided an example that women could relate to. She tried the expression and got his approval. She wondered if the video would get more views, but the main character wanted to leave it to fate and focus on improving the film details. He wrapped up the set and encouraged everyone to work hard. Back at his office desk, he checked his phone and saw a message from Ting Ting, showing the food she had cooked for him for dinner. He checked her profile picture, displaying their happy moments. Joo Shan fell silent and shuffled around at his desk. He left his office and invited his colleagues for a team buffet, but they all had other plans for the evening. He said his goodbyes and returned to his office. He planned to work overtime as an excuse, considering his abrupt breakup request to Ting Ting. Suddenly, a power outage occurred, and he panicked because he hadn't saved his project. Then, some people with bats entered his office, and he asked who they were. Terrified, he warned them to stay back. The lights came back on, and it turned out to be his team members surprising him. He mentioned his unsaved project and asked who had caused the blackout. A woman appeared and wondered if he was going to hit her. Joo Shan said he wouldn't do it when he saw their boss in front of him. He wondered why they were working so late at night. The boss then shared that Joo Shan's team had reached 1 billion views that month. Everyone in the room cheered. The boss approached Joo Shan and mentioned that the directors had made a decision. She stood behind him, and when he looked up, he accidentally bumped into her melons. Some people warned him about his girlfriend. Joo Shan apologized, and the boss regained her composure. She then announced Joo Shan's promotion to the role of company operations manager. Joo Shan was moved to tears, thanked his boss, and shook her hand. However, the boss blushed and withdrew her hand, suddenly flustered. She clapped her hands to get the party started, and everyone enjoyed the delicious food at the restaurant. Joo Shan made a toast, and the party was a hit. Later, Joo Shan checked his phone to look at a photo of himself and Ting Ting. He quickly downed a glass of wine and passed out. The boss went for a bathroom break, and Joo Shan unexpectedly appeared in front of her stall. He was so intoxicated that he had mistakenly entered the wrong restroom. The boss fixed her stockings and listened for sounds from the other side of the door. She used the toilet seat to peek outside and found Joo Shan leaning on the door, fast asleep. She opened the door, and Joo Shan fell on her. He got up and attempted to unzip his pants. The boss continued to stare, as if anticipating something, until she realized what was happening. Her scream jolted Joo Shan, who was still a bit out of it, and he decided to relieve himself right there because he couldn't locate his zipper. The boss told him not to do it and offered to help him unzip his pants. Joo Shan thanked her, believing the boss was a man. She started unzipping his pants slowly, which annoyed the drunk Joo Shan, who urged her to hurry. Despite her embarrassment, the boss managed to assist Joo Shan. Outside the stall, she couldn't help but sigh in disbelief. A few minutes later, the boss helped Joo Shan out of the ladies' washroom. Joo Shan began searching for his car keys, but the boss quickly pointed out that he couldn't drive while being drunk. She requested his phone to call a designated driver, but Joo Shan dozed off on the floor. She was surprised that Joo Shan hadn't changed much since their university days, noticing that his phone was precariously tucked in his back pocket. She tried to grab the phone, but Joo Shan started dreaming about driving and making advances towards his boss. Before long, the boss assisted Joo Shan into a car. As they got in, Zhou Shang tried to pull the boss in with him while apologizing to someone named Ting Ting. The driver became annoyed and asked if she was part of their group. The boss sighed and reluctantly entered the car. As the car began to move, Zhou Shang grabbed the boss's hands, believing she was his girlfriend, and excitedly shared news about his promotion. The boss felt embarrassed and clarified that she was not his girlfriend. Zhou Shang then inquired if she was happy for him regarding the promotion, and the boss played along, saying she was proud of him. Zhou Shang went on to ask if Ting Ting truly loved him. He was concerned because Ting Ting had requested a separate bedroom and didn't seem to appreciate the food he had learned to cook for her. He worried that she was unhappy living with him. The driver remained silent, and the boss let out a sigh, claiming she was jealous of Ting Ting. Zhou Shang continued to ask Ting Ting to point out what he had done wrong, intentionally making mistakes in hopes of provoking her into getting angry. However, Ting Ting refused to scold him, no matter what he did. He expressed his desire not to break up with her, but also not to see her hurt by staying with him. All of a sudden, Zhou Shang surprised his boss by giving her a tight hug. He gently touched her cheeks and said sorry while moving closer to her. But then he dozed off while mumbling about Ting Ting and wanting to take back his words. The boss wanted to wake him up but refrained from doing so. She tied up her hair, and it was clear that she was blushing the entire time. They eventually reached their destination, and the boss paid the driver. The driver suggested that she forgive Zhou Shang before leaving. However, Zhou Shang was still fast asleep. The boss took a deep breath and yelled in his ear. Startled, Zhou Shang searched for a blanket but ended up finding pillows instead. The boss got frustrated and slapped him, questioning why he was sleeping when it was time to sleep. Zhou Shang immediately woke up and apologized. Suddenly, he felt nauseous, and the boss helped him vomit outside the car. Zhou Shang started to sober up and realize he was at home with his boss. She sighed and expressed concern about him driving drunk and potentially losing his promotion as a manager. Before leaving, the boss warned Zhou Shang not to be late because her father wanted to talk to him. Zhou Shang offered to drive her home, but she insisted he not keep Ting Ting waiting and feeling jealous. She also reminded him not to forget to close the door, which left Zhou Shang feeling embarrassed since there were other people nearby. He arrived home, feeling anxious about knocking on the door because he wasn't sure if his girlfriend would open it. He remembered their morning conversation and worried that she might have locked him out. To check, he attempted to use his key. However, Zhou Shang began to act like he had too much to drink and made a lot of noise. Surprisingly, the door swung open, and Ting Ting welcomed him inside. Zhou Shang continued to act intoxicated and berated himself for acting foolish. Afterward, he greeted Ting Ting, who told him to come in right away. He closed the door behind him. Ting Ting sniffed him and turned away, wondering why Zhou Shang was acting drunk when he wasn't much of a drinker. Before he could share some good news with her, Zhou Shang wondered why Ting Ting appeared so composed, as if nothing had occurred. His anxiety grew, but then Ting Ting suddenly seized his head and gave him a kiss. She congratulated him on his promotion. Zhou Shang asked her how she found out, and she mentioned that his boss, Manhwa, had informed her ahead of time so she wouldn't be concerned when he came home late. Zhou Shang attempted to discuss the morning's events, but Ting Ting ignored him and went to prepare some tea. He suggested that she rest since she had an event, but she was okay with staying up late. She even tidied up the house before her boyfriend returned. Zhou Shang had just noticed how tidy the house was, which made him realize that Ting Ting truly loved him. This realization struck him when he saw the framed photos. However, he couldn't stop pondering why Ting Ting was acting so composed when he brought up the idea of breaking up. Ting Ting then handed him some tea, and the two of them moved to the living room. Out of the blue, Zhou Shang suggested hiring a maid, which left Ting Ting wondering if her cleaning skills were lacking. She asked a simple why, leaving Zhou Shang puzzled. He wondered if perhaps some younger colleagues had shown interest in him after his recent promotion, or if she suspected him of cheating. He exclaimed that he wasn't that kind of person, but Ting Ting repeated her question, why? Frustrated, she insisted that he must tell her the real reason for the breakup. After some thought, Ting Ting realized it had something to do with having children, causing Zhou Shang to almost choke on his tea. She offered him tissues, and then she wondered if his parents were pressuring him. Zhou Shang blushed and denied it. For the first time, Ting Ting wore a sad expression and asked why Zhou Shang wanted to end the relationship. She told him that she could give him a child if that was what he wanted. This time, Zhou Shang handed her the tissue box. He then questioned if she was unhappy or hurt when she was with him. Ting Ting was taken aback and wondered if he was still feeling the effects of alcohol. He went on to describe how remarkable Ting Ting was, like a diamond, and compared to him, she could shine even without him. He explained that he just wanted her to be happy with someone else if that would spare her from further suffering. Ting Ting then called him out, saying that she was deeply hurt by his words. Seeing her in pain and tears tormented Zhou Xinan. He set down his cup and asked for some time alone. Zhou Xinan found it strange when Ting Ting asked for a private room in the rented house. He hadn't set foot in it for years. Then he remembered someone suggesting that his relationship with Ting Ting held her back from success. While he soaked in the bath, he defended the idea that they could have a normal life as long as they loved each other. He knew this person was trying to drive a wedge between them so Ting Ting could make more money for their company. Ting Ting's boss wondered if Zhou Shang had ever seen her truly shine before. He believed Ting Ting could change countless lives, acting like a guiding sun, something the two of them couldn't do. The boss insisted he could help Ting Ting shine even brighter than Zhou Xian. This infuriated our protagonist, as he sensed the boss was also trying to break them up for personal reasons. The boss then admitted he admired Ting Ting, but promised he'd never use money or power to interfere in people's relationships. He claimed he was only offering advice to spare Zhou Xian from future pain and heartbreak. He apologized to Zhou Xian and showed him a video clip of Ting Ting crying unexpectedly during a company party. Zhou Xian exclaimed that he'd never hurt Ting Ting. The boss then trailed Ting Ting and found her in tears while gazing at the moon. He felt envious of whoever had caused her pain and pointed the finger at Zhou Xian. Zhou Shang tried to brush off the boss's words, but they stuck with him. However, he was clueless about what he might have done to hurt Ting Ting. As he drifted off to sleep in the tub, Ting Ting attempted to pull him out. But hold on, another Ting Ting appeared. The Ting Ting, dressed in office attire, wondered if Zhou Shang had slept. She checked on him and couldn't believe he was sound asleep. She called her friend, who had just arrived, and invited her in, poking Zhou Shang, who didn't react. Her friend convinced her to have some fun with Zhou Xian, and they turned him into a bubble-covered masterpiece. The colleague in the office suggested moving Zhou Xiang so he wouldn't get sick. As they lifted him up, one of them complained about his weight, while the other blamed her sister for being weak after sitting in the office for so long. With Zhou Xiang peacefully asleep on the bed, Ting Ting began to wonder what he had said to her earlier. Her sister assured her that Zhou Xiang didn't cheat, and that it had nothing to do with a child issue. As Ting Ting pondered the reason for the breakup, Zhou Xiang suddenly started sleep-talking and hugged her. The one wearing casual clothes gave her sister a signal to leave the room so that she could have some private time with Zhou Xian. Ting Ting couldn't help but feel sad. The next morning, Zhou Xian woke up to gentle touches and discovered Ting Ting beside him. He quickly hugged her and apologized. Ting Ting was puzzled about what she had done wrong. In a serious tone, Zhou Xiang asked Ting Ting to let him know if she ever felt burdened by him. He wondered why he was in bed, and Ting Ting explained that she found him asleep in the bathtub, so she carried him to bed. Zhou Xian was skeptical, but Ting Ting insisted that she was strong. Zhou Xian then questioned whether he had been sleep-talking, and Ting Ting confirmed that he had mumbled nonsensically in both English and Chinese, apologizing to her and promising to bring her happiness. Zhou Xian couldn't believe that Ting Ting was acting as if he hadn't mentioned the breakup. Ting Ting glared at him and said sorry. She admitted they had been selfish because of stress and pressure from others. Zhou Xian was confused when she used we, but Ting Ting quickly told him he must have misheard her. They soon left, and Ting Ting drove her company's car. Zhou Xiang thought a simpler car suited her better. He was impressed by how hardworking Ting Ting was and her above-average intelligence. She had one of the highest positions in the country and managed hundreds of employees, helping the company make billions. Seeing her boyfriend's gaze, Ting Ting wondered if something was on her face. Zhou Xiang said he just wanted to look at her, which made Ting Ting laugh. Ting Ting then mentioned her mother gossiping about their neighbor's relative. Zhou Xiang was surprised that Ting Ting was into gossip. She said it could damage a person's reputation. Zhou Xiang got excited and asked her to continue, as it could be material for a future short film. Ting Ting got embarrassed and told him not to invade people's privacy. Zhou Xiang playfully warned her not to keep things to herself, or it would mentally bother her. Ting Ting then told him that the person had one wife, but later found out she had been two different people all along. Zhou Xiang burst into laughter and called the husband an idiot, to which Ting Ting agreed. Just then, Zhou Xiang received a call and learned that they had run out of backup manuscripts. He assured them he had some extra ones at home. Jokshan then asked Ting Ting to go back home. She agreed but suddenly stopped the car, looking worried. She asked Jokshan why they needed to go home, and he explained the situation. Ting Ting got concerned and pulled over. She suggested he go straight to his office, and she would call for a car to deliver the manuscripts. Jokshan disagreed, saying he knew where the manuscripts were, and that he would go back home. Ting Ting was in a difficult situation. She had declined Jokshan's suggestion. Jokshan was confused about what was going on and why Ting Ting was acting strangely. He became upset and told Ting Ting to leave first, but she offered to give him a ride home. After a brief pause, Jokshan wondered what was bothering her. Ting Ting began driving but accidentally hit the brakes instead of accelerating. She became flustered, which only made Jokshan angrier. He urged her to start driving, but Ting Ting took out her phone to contact her sister, losing focus on the road. As they approached a truck, Ting Ting froze, and Jokshan quickly grabbed the steering wheel. They narrowly avoided a collision with the truck, and Jokshan scolded Ting Ting for her recklessness. He couldn't believe she was using her phone while driving and confiscated it. Ting Ting reluctantly handed over her phone. It was the first time he had raised his voice at her, and she looked upset. Jokshan smiled, thinking it was a part of being in a relationship. Soon, they arrived back home, and Ting Ting rushed to the front door as if she were in a marathon. She insisted on opening the door for Jokshan, which struck him as odd. Suddenly, Ting Ting stopped abruptly, and Jokshan found her behavior strange. He asked if she was keeping something from him, but she claimed there was nothing to hide and ran off. At the door, Ting Ting attempted to knock, but Jokshan stopped her, pointing out that there was no need to knock when they were outside. He took out their house key, and Ting Ting became nervous. A delivery person unexpectedly appeared, saying that someone had ordered food to be delivered to the house. Jokshan was shocked. Suddenly, the door swung open, and Ting Ting's twin sister emerged to collect her delivery. This left Ting Ting frozen in place. The delivery person asked for a 5-star review, and the twin sister agreed while rubbing her eyes. Ting Ting looked down, and Jokshan gazed at the twin sister in disbelief. The twin sister was equally surprised. The twin sister had attempted to close the door, but Jokshan burst through, seeking an explanation. Ting Ting then tried to slip away, but Jokshan caught her. He yelled at her to shut the door, which was the second time she'd heard him shout. He instructed her not to run, and she followed his command. While Ting Ting waited in the kitchen, Jokshan knocked on the sister's room and asked the other one to come out. The twin sister exclaimed that no one was inside, but he informed her that he had already seen everything. The twin sister huddled in her cluttered room. Enraged, Jokshan declared he would wait outside, even if it took forever. The twin sister seemed worried, but ultimately, she removed the lock from the door. Jokshan then opened the door and saw the inside of the room for the first time in many years. He spotted a chalkboard with his photo in the center and some pictures of the twin sister and himself. Jokshan sifted through the mess and found a random leg poking out from under a blanket. He sighed, and Ting Ting noticed him grabbing her sister's leg. Jokshan pulled the twin sister out of her hiding place and accidentally scraped her cherished melons. She got hurt, and Jokshan told her to get up. The three of them then confronted each other, with Jokshan wearing an angry expression. However, he didn't know how to react, facing two Ting Tings in front of him. He had asked Ting Ting for an explanation, but the twins both tried to answer at once. Jokshan clarified that he was calling Ting Ting, and one of the twin sisters tried to say something. Jokshan gave her a stern look, and she began to cry. Seeing her sister cry, Ting Ting then admitted that they were both Ting Ting to Jokshan. This revelation surprised him, but his phone started ringing. The two sisters told him to answer it, and he picked up the call. This sudden development surprised him, and he told the person he was talking to that he would be there soon. After work, he asked the twins for an explanation and told them not to run away. The sisters obediently nodded simultaneously. Jokshan grabbed one of them, thinking she also had work, but the one in casual clothes mentioned that it wasn't her turn to work. Jokshan was left bewildered and looked at the other sister, who seemed angry for some reason. She dragged him away, and he warned both of them again not to escape. On the way to work, Jokshan's heart raced due to the unexpected events. He didn't fully grasp what had happened, but he felt like his ordinary life had suddenly changed. Later, at the media company, Jokshan rushed in and handed the hard disk drive to Ting Ting. He instructed him to print everything and select the most interesting content for the next advertisement. Ting Ting thanked Jokshan, but mixed up his title. Zhou Xiang playfully tapped Xing's head and gave him more instructions. He also provided additional guidance to Xiao Pang. This caught the attention of his colleagues, who began whispering about Zhu Xiang's sudden transformation and his absence from the meeting. Zhou Xiang overheard their conversation and locked himself in his office. He lit a cigarette and wondered which of the twins he had asked about the breakup. He regretted coming to work that day. Suddenly, Manhwa entered his office and Zhou Xiang was taken aback. He hastily put out his cigarette. Manhwa thought that Zhou Xiang might still be feeling the effects of alcohol, as he seemed lost in thought. Zhou Xiang quickly made up an excuse, saying it was his first time drinking so much wine. Manhwa gave back Zhou Xiang's car keys and said thank you. Zhou Xiang wanted to thank her too, but Manhwa insisted they were both equally grateful. Then Zhou Xiang tried to say something, and Manhwa noticed he seemed a bit strange. He scratched his head in frustration and asked Manhwa if she fully understood Ting Ting. Manhwa was surprised and started acting shy. When she saw her embarrassment, Zhou Xiang asked her why she had come to visit him. She told him that her father was looking for him, which surprised Zhou Xiang. Manhwa exclaimed that she had mentioned it the night before. She pushed Zhou Xiang forward and accidentally bumped into him. She asked him not to embarrass her later. Soon, they both arrived at the chairman's office, and Zhou Xiang nervously greeted Manhwa's father. The chairman told him not to be tense and asked him to take a seat. As they sat silently in front of him, the chairman prepared incense. One whiff of it, and Zhou Xiang suddenly felt more at ease. Manhwa recognized the scent her father had lit. The chairman then reminded her to call him chairman while at work, leaving her with no choice but to comply. She whispered to Zhou Xiang that her father always acted that way. Suddenly, the chairman mentioned how Manhwa often talked about Zhou Xiang, which made his daughter embarrassed. He heard about how hardworking Zhou Xiang was, and Zhou Xiang attributed it to Manhwa's leadership. The chairman admitted that he had no idea about the current state of the company and hoped that the new generation would lead it to a better future. He asked Zhou Xiang to work harder, and Zhou Xiang responded as a dedicated employee should. The chairman then brought out a rare tea obtained from a unique tree on a remote mountain. Zhou Xiang respectfully accepted the expensive tea. The chairman had noticed his daughter's gaze fixed on Zhou Xiang and began discussing her strengths and weaknesses. Zhou Xiang then listed Manhwa's good work habits and positive qualities, which made her feel embarrassed. Zhou Xiang went on to say that their group wouldn't be successful without her. Manhwa was surprised to hear such praise from Zhou Xiang, and he made it clear that everyone felt comfortable with her around. The chairman was surprised that Manhwa was skilled at managing people. However, her bad personality and short temper drove people away, leaving her single. Zhou Xiang then remembered that many guys had asked Manhwa out during their university days, but she always turned them down. Manhwa got upset because they were discussing her personal life instead of work. The chairman then asked if Zhou Xiang had a girlfriend. Zhou Xiang was taken aback and struggled to answer. This angered Manhwa, as she felt her father was prying into people's privacy. Seeing his daughter's intense gaze, the chairman could only sigh. Before Zhou Xiang could say anything, the chairman tried to set up his daughter with Zhu Xiang. Manhwa stepped in and informed her father that Zhu Xiang was dating Yi Ting, whom she had introduced to him. The chairman remembered Yi Ting for her impressive skills and wondered why Zhou Xiang was different from her. He noticed Zhou Xiang's anxiety. Manhwa, seeing him silent, told her father not to compare the two. Zhou Xiang realized that Manhwa didn't know about the twins. The chairman told his daughter that he wanted to hear from Zhou Xiang. Zhou Xiang tried to say something but hesitated, recalling something from that morning. After a long pause, Manhwa broke the silence with a short cough. Zhou Xiang then explained that working separately was better to get to know each other better. The chairman listened as Zhou Xiang claimed that they had a clear understanding of each other and had some surprising experiences. Manhwa was pleased to see Zhou Xiang talking. The chairman noticed her reaction, which flustered Manhwa. She urged her father to end the small talk because they had more work to do. The chairman laughed and remarked that a good man should have his own career. He also mentioned that he had a long conversation with Manhwa and convinced the company executives to invest in them, surprising Zhu Xiang. Zhou Xiang then glanced at Manhwa, who abruptly told him to get back to work. He stood up and walked away from the two of them. Manhwa continued to watch Zhou Xiang as he left until her father got her attention. He informed her that her uncle would be visiting, but Manhwa declined to discuss it further. The chairman then mentioned the company's financial troubles and asked her to return and help. Manhwa paid little attention to his words and left, thanking him for his role as chairman. However, she assured him that she would address the financial issue. Shortly after, we find our main character working diligently, overseeing short films and potential projects. In a meeting, he argued that the recent drop in views and likes on their latest video was due to the script. He insisted on revising the scripts, but a team member mentioned the cost, given their limited funds. Because the series was intriguing, Joe Xiang decided to approach Manhwa for financial support. Fatigued, Joe Xiang returned to his office and saw Ting Ting's nickname in his contacts. He reminisced about their university days, recalling how she was always cheerful and lively. Suddenly, a realization struck him as he thought about their time together. He pondered something but found it unlikely. Instead of sending a message to Ting Ting, he deleted it and expressed his frustration with emojis. A moment later, he noticed Ting Ting's typing status flickering on and off, assuming she was nervous. Beachside invited him for a meal, but Joe Xiang declined because he was waiting for Ting Ting's response. Beachside had previously claimed that he had secured his favorite, and Joe Xiang had asked him to save some for him. He continued to wait for Ting Ting's response. He took a sip of his coffee, and then his phone rang. Opening the messages, he found Ting Ting's bold selfie, with her curtains wide open for everyone to see. This surprised Joe Xiang, and he inquired if someone else was with Ting Ting. He anxiously stared at his phone, waiting for a reply. Ting Ting responded with a cute message, saying she was unsure about what to do. Joe Xiang chuckled and advised her to have her meal, anticipating an explanation later. Beachside called him again, and Joe Xiang got up. He noticed a message from his computer. It was Ting Ting asking if he had eaten already. Joe Xiang explained that they had just been chatting, and Ting Ting was surprised by the coincidence, joking that twins must think alike. Joe Xiang realized that this was the Ting Ting who was at home. She also sent a selfie, which made Joe Xiang realize that Ting Ting had a habit of sending selfies when she had done something wrong. He asked where she was, and this Ting Ting seemed offended, suggesting they switch roles. Joe Xiang's mind suddenly wandered into filmmaker mode, and he assumed this other Ting Ting was a time traveler from the future, leaving Ting Ting speechless. With others inviting him for a meal, Joe Xiang told Ting Ting that he would have a long chat with the twins later. He suspected that this explained why she was always so energetic each day. He recalled the gossip Ting Ting had shared with him while she was driving and berated himself for being an idiot. Leaving his office, Joe Xiang discovered that there was no food left. Xiao Pang and Beachside were blaming each other, and Manhwa appeared, asking why they were arguing. Joe Xiang was surprised to see Manhwa in the office so late. She mentioned that it was the same for the others, and the awkward atmosphere made everyone else excuse themselves. Manhwa noticed that Joe Xiang hadn't eaten anything, and he explained that he was on a diet. However, his hungry stomach made a loud growling sound, and Manhwa couldn't help but burst into laughter. She had invited Joe Xiang to join her because her dinner had been delivered, and she couldn't finish it by herself. Joe Xiang initially tried to decline, saying he could manage, but his growling stomach gave him away, and Manhwa couldn't help but laugh. She wasn't worried about him, but about the new manager, fearing they might faint, which could harm the company's progress and cause losses. She insisted she was responsible because Joe Xiang was still officially on the clock. After Joe Xiang's stomach growled for the third time, he accepted Manhwa's offer. Joe Xiang watched shyly as Manhwa brought out the food. She handed him a bento box that made him wonder where it came from because it looked very delicate. He asked Manhwa how it tasted, and he started getting feedback as if he were Gordon Ramsay, even suggesting not ordering from the same place again. Manhwa felt hurt by his comments and wondered why he wasn't eating. She said she would eat his leftovers. Joe Xiang refused to be the first to eat and insisted that Manhwa should have the leftovers. They playfully competed by pushing the bento toward each other until their faces were inches apart. They both got embarrassed and decided to share the bento. However, Manhwa ended up with only a small spoonful of rice and greens, and Joe Xiang couldn't believe she was eating so little. Manhwa claimed she was on a diet, which made Joe Xiang assume she was doing it to impress a man. It was clear he was being dense, frustrating Manhwa. In her frustration, she slammed the bento cover down. She began telling Joe Xiang not to become overconfident because she had treated him well. She instructed him to go work and earn money for the company. Joe Xiang was momentarily at a loss for words and exclaimed that Manhwa had finally revealed her true intentions. He couldn't believe that Manhwa had planned to use him for her benefit since their college days. Manhwa laughed and said that Joe Xiang was valuable to her. Joe Xiang continued to eat, and Manhwa asked him not to take her father's words too seriously. Zhou Xinan paused and said that her father didn't know about their relationship. He suggested that she find a man since she had been single for a long time. He asked about the type of man she was interested in, so he and Ting Ting could help her. Manhwa playfully hit Zhou Xinan with her chopsticks and told him to mind his own business. She teased him just like they did in their university days. Manhwa got a little upset and claimed that she had no shortage of admirers. She insisted that she could have a boyfriend whenever she wanted. She playfully threatened to tell Ting Ting a thing or two. Zhou Xinan then started being more polite to Manhwa and continued eating. Manhwa was annoyed and got a bottle of water for him. Zhou Xinan was surprised and accepted his boss's offer. After finishing his meal, Zhou Xinan left. Manhwa, in an irritated tone, told him to get back to work. She began clearing the table and realized that pouring away the remaining water would be a waste. She thought about going for an indirect kiss and checked if anyone was nearby. Nervously, she put the bottle's tip to her lips, imagining Zhou Xinan kissing her. However, the embarrassment overwhelmed her later. Meanwhile, Zhou Xinan was discussing a project with another employee when Dixing suddenly entered his office. He exclaimed that their original video had been copyrighted by others who had more views. Zhou Xinan told him to stay calm and let the legal department handle it. Dixing was angry because their competitors were essentially stealing views and fans. Zhou Xinan told him not to get upset, as there were always solutions to problems. Dixing finally calmed down and left the office. Zhou Xinan then realized that his work was essentially the same, but with more departments to manage. Dealing with video details and issues was enough to make him feel exhausted. He suddenly thought about the twins just as he was starting to relax. He suddenly felt frustrated and checked the time. He grabbed his bag and left his office. Then he approached Manhwa. The boss smiled and scolded him for leaving work early. Zhou Xinan tried to mention Ting Ting but decided not to and went back to work. Later, Zhou Xinan drove back home, unable to shake the image of the twins from his mind. He was both excited and scared to get home. He wondered what to say to them, especially after they claimed to be both his Ting Ting. He had many questions about what had happened that day. Suddenly, a driver informed him that his car had been stuck at a green light for 2 cycles and people were getting annoyed. Zhou Xinan could only apologize. When he finally arrived home and nervously unlocked the door, he found the twins enjoying snacks in the living room. They had been on his mind all day. Zhou Xinan expressed his worry about talking to them, but the twins ran to him, asking him not to be angry. Their smiles immediately calmed him down. They insisted that he sit down, and they finally started discussing the matter. They sat up straight and encouraged Zhou Xinan to ask any questions he had. Their openness surprised him. He became flustered when they acted so seriously, which made the twins laugh at him. Zhou Xinan got angry with them, and they fell silent again. But when he saw the 2 Ting Tings in front of him, his heart started racing. He coughed, and one of the twins offered him a cup of coffee. Zhou Xinan grabbed it in the wrong way, quickly let go because it was hot, and ended up burning himself in a very silly manner. He screamed in pain, and the girls could see he was hurting. They hurriedly grabbed some tissues and worked together to help him. Something that shouldn't have risen had now definitely risen. The girls asked if he was okay, but Zhou Xinan scolded them for not warning him that the cup was hot. The 2 girls blamed each other until they realized that their plaything was burned. One of them suggested checking on him and tried to remove Zhou Xinan's pants. Zhou Xinan stopped them and rushed to the washroom to cool down his injury. While he was tending to his hot dog, he noticed that the girls were just as nervous as he was. When he attempted to change his pants, the girls handed him a new pair in perfect sync. The twins laughed at him, but Zhou Xian's seriousness silenced them. He couldn't believe he scolded himself after hearing some gossip. While one of the twins laughed, the other got angry because they had discussed when to tell Zhou Xian. However, the other twin found it amusing that Zhou Xinan scolded himself. Zhou Xinan asked them to stay on topic, but he also started laughing. One of the twins complained that Zhou Xinan only knew how to shout at them, not laugh, and playfully hit him with a pillow. She blamed Zhou Xinan for not figuring it out for a few years. She asked her twin sister to say something because it was the first time Zhou Xinan had shouted at them. However, the other Ting Ting also burst into laughter. Based on how the yellow rabbit, presumably a nickname for one of the twins, referred to the other, the blue rabbit was the older sister. Suddenly, Zhou Xinan got serious and asked to settle things first. Then he inquired whether the 2 of them had carried him to bed together. The twins confirmed that they carried him together because Zhou Xinan was heavy like a pig from the start. They washed him and were shocked at how dirty and wasted he was. They even complained about how smelly he was because of the wine. Xiang mentioned that he had been happy and celebrating. However, the younger twin complained that he had soiled his pants too much, making it hard to wash. They even showed how they played with him in the bath while he was sleeping. The twins started blaming each other. Xiang wondered why they weren't as quiet as usual. The twins fell silent and turned away from each other. Xiang suddenly thought of something and approached the twins. He checked them one by one, mouth, nose, and even the deep abyss beneath their shirts. When he started checking their legs, the older twin got mad. The younger twin then mentioned how men like him must be excited to see them as toys now. Xiang couldn't see any difference. He then started to think that some random wormhole had happened, making the twins confused. He wondered if the two had split like how amoebas do. He slapped himself and tried to calm down. He then tried to think harder and realized something, telling the twins to wait. He then seriously assumed that some cloning technology was related to them. He continued staring at the twins with suspicion. The older twin suggested waiting for Xiang to process everything first. He continued wondering what to ask the twins. The younger twin wondered if Xiang had become crazy due to the shock. The older twin then claimed that it was nothing fantastical, but rather a simple reason. The younger twin sighed and started narrating a story of twin sisters who would wear the same clothes and hairstyles and play with the same toys. The sisters studied like normal students until most people around them kept claiming that the two really looked alike. Xiang agreed that it would be strange if twins didn't look alike. He then realized that the two were twins. Finally, the older one agreed and mentioned that the sisters realized one day that there was no need to take 2 exams. Xiang wondered if the two cheated. The younger twin then laughed and exclaimed that they were both smart. They took advantage so they wouldn't waste one person's life. Xiang couldn't believe her logic and suggested that the two should study instead. The younger twin then mentioned that if they became one, they would have an additional free day. Xiang asked them to stop talking nonsense, but he realized something. The older twin confessed that they acted as one person. Xiang raised his voice and called them crazy. The older twin couldn't believe Xiang also said the same thing and cried. The younger twin got mad at Xiang and exclaimed that even if the world was against them, he should defend for them. Xiang felt apologetic, but he claimed that it was the normal reaction. He then wondered how their parents thought of their act. They then mentioned how their father scolded them and brought them to the mental hospital for a checkup. Xiang was glad he was not the only one going crazy over the twins. He then wondered how the two escaped the mental hospital. The younger twin got mad and called Xiang crazy instead. She exclaimed that their thought process was more advanced than others and called the others old for following the old ways. She exclaimed that they just lived to make things possible. She then ordered Xiang to scratch her feet, and the older twin also asked the same. Xiang called their feet smelly, but the loud younger twin claimed that they were not. The twins called him evil and even planned to kick him out. Xiang tried to calm himself and finally understood why Ting Ting felt unfamiliar all these years. He then thought about something and asked them if he was dating the two of them from the start. The twins confirmed, and the younger one exclaimed how lucky Xiang was to date 2 girls unlike others. Xiang suddenly got serious and asked who he kissed first. The twins fell silent until the older one confessed by raising her hand while the younger one scratched her head. Zhou then talked about the deed they did in the Hote for the first time. The younger one then raised her hand. Xiang finally found out why Ting Ting's menstruation period schedule was weird. The older twin wanted to say something. The younger one noticed it and began accusing her older sister of falling in love with Xiang, claiming they were the ones on the losing side. The older twin then said the younger one had also fallen for Xiang, but the younger twin insisted she was just dragged into it. This led to a frustrating argument with various reasons thrown in. Xiang was puzzled as to why they started arguing, and both twins blamed him at the same time. Everyone fell silent due to the awkwardness after the truth came out. He tried to speak but ended up stuttering, and the younger twin told him to get to the point. The older twin suggested giving Xiang some time to think, as he seemed unsure of what to say. He wanted to clear up the misunderstanding to avoid losing Ting Ting but got nervous when the twins glared at him. Xiang asked what the person from the gossip would do if he had 2 wives, and everyone fell silent, except the younger twin who brought up Xiang's pet chicken, which was recovering from burns. She blamed Xiang for insisting on returning home that morning. Xiang was taken aback when the younger twin suggested hiding everything forever. The older twin tried to intervene, but Xiang and the younger twin continued arguing. The older twin made another attempt to stop them, but they ignored her and kept blaming each other until she couldn't take it anymore and punched both of them. The usually quiet older sister finally shouted at the top of her lungs, putting an end to the argument. The younger twin claimed it was the first time she had argued in 4 years and didn't know how to stop, and Zhou Xiang admitted the same. This left the older twin dumbfounded, and she burst into laughter. Zhou Xiang and the younger twin also joined in the laughter. A neighbor complained about the noise, and Zhou Xiang apologized. Zhou Xiang noticed that they had bothered their neighbor, so he apologized to the twins for bringing up the breakup and for arguing. He stumbled over his words again, and the twins waited nervously to hear what he was going to say. He scratched his head while they anxiously anticipated his words. With a big smile, Zhou Xiang asked if the twins would keep living with him. This surprised them, and tears welled up in their pretty eyes. Zhou Xiang suddenly became flustered. The girls explained that they had always longed to hear those words. The younger twin scolded Zhou Xiang for realizing it so late, since they had always lived in fear and anxiety because of him. The older sister also held on to Zhou Xiang and apologized for lying for so many years. Now that they were more at ease, Zhou Xiang suddenly remembered that they hadn't eaten yet. The twins went to the kitchen to make some food, but Zhou Xiang stopped them because he wanted to cook for them. The older twin assumed that Zhou Xiang was hungry. Zhou Xiang then reminded them about how he used to cook for them back in university. He wanted to prepare a meal for them, and the twins requested 2 different tofu dishes. An argument started over tofu, and it got more heated than the previous ones. Zhou Xiang intervened and decided to cook both. This put an end to the argument. Zhou Xiang could really see that the girls were twins and remembered being unsure whether Ting Ting liked prawns or not. The 2 girls could only blush. Zhou Xiang told them to relax and watch television together. Later, he asked them to chop some onions, and the twins debated over who would do it. The dull days in the house suddenly became vibrant with everyone cooking and eating together. Before going to sleep, Zhou Xiang still felt like the whole situation was surreal. However, he couldn't forget the video where he had seen Ting Ting crying. The twins then entered the room, leaving Zhou Xiang flustered. He knew the twins were up to something, and the older twin suddenly blamed her younger sister. The 3 of them sat in silence on the bed until the twins each took one of Zhou Xiang's hands. The younger twin had exclaimed that they had always wanted that moment to fulfill their wish. Zhou Xiang, feeling confused, found himself pinned down on his bed by the twins. The older twin asked if Zhou Xiang didn't want to sleep with them. Zhou Xiang just didn't expect them to be so forceful. Suddenly, the older twin got offended, and the younger twin started biting Zhou Xiang. The older twin got worried and blew on the bite marks. Then she told them to go to sleep because the other 2 had work the next day. Later that night, Zhou Xiang woke up and discovered that the twins were missing. He then noticed them near the window, crying and apologizing because they didn't have a choice. Zhou Xiang was surprised and woke up. He looked on both sides and sighed, realizing it was only a dream. He went to smoke because the dream had bothered him. Morning came, and Zhou Xiang woke up to see the older twin preparing breakfast. Zhou Xiang froze at the sight of her and remembered his dream. The older twin got worried and asked if Zhou Xiang was okay, but he claimed he wasn't fully awake yet. He went to the bathroom, but the younger twin was using the toilet and casually told him to wait for his turn. He couldn't imagine the twins coming out of the bathroom at the same time. Breakfast was ready, and they all sat at the table, while Zhou Xiang still couldn't believe the situation he had experienced. He then realized something and asked who was really the oldest and who was Yi Ting. While munching her food, the younger one tried to tell Zhou Xiang, but the older twin stopped her. She wanted Zhou Xiang to figure it out himself as punishment, leaving him stunned to the point that he spilled his cup of milk. Just then, Zhou got 2 messages from Manhwa, and the twins wondered if Manhwa was rushing their boyfriend. He told the twins not to worry because he worked perfectly. The younger one reminded him to be careful with his colleagues since he had been promoted. He praised the younger twin for being experienced in social matters. The older twin suddenly got jealous and claimed that she was the same. Zhou Xiang playfully agreed while hugging the twins. Then he left for work, and the twins saw him off. Zhou Xiang arrived at the office, beaming with a smile that caught everyone's attention. He noticed his colleagues gossiping, and he playfully threatened to give them a hard time if they teased him. Following that, he asked Daxing to gather everyone for a meeting. During the meeting, he inquired about the new advertising campaign featuring the celebrity Enli with Xiao Pang. Xiao Pang proudly displayed a printed copy of Enli in a seductive pose alongside their product. However, Manhwa instructed them not to publish it yet, even though they had already informed the media and advertisers. Jo Xinan questioned the decision and decided to speak with Manhwa directly. Meanwhile, Xiao Pang voiced concerns about rumors regarding the company's financial instability. Jo Xinan remained silent and made his way to Manhwa's office. There, he found Manhwa engaged in a heated phone argument with someone. She requested a face-to-face meeting, but the other party couldn't make time for it, leaving her frustrated. After ending the call, Jo Xiang asked her what had occurred. Following a brief pause, Manhwa informed Jo Xiang that they needed to prepare for a sudden business trip. Although he might have panicked upon hearing about the trip earlier, his thoughts were now consumed by thoughts of the twins. He tried to put Ting Ting out of his mind temporarily, but Manhwa's sudden shout snapped him into action. He hurried towards the door, where they both tried to open it simultaneously. In the process, Jo Xiang stumbled and accidentally grabbed Manhwa's ample chest. Manhwa didn't comment on the incident and asked Jo Xiang to help her up. He inquired again about the project, but Manhwa told him they would discuss it on the way. Later in the car, Manhwa dropped a bombshell on Zhu Xiang. The celebrity and Li heir wanted to cancel their contract, leaving him shocked. Jo Xiang couldn't believe it when the other party suddenly changed their minds. Manhwa said she didn't know why they were on the way to meet them, since signing with her was the only way to save the company. Jo Xiang couldn't help but get upset at haughty celebrities like her. Then he realized something and asked Manhwa why she brought him instead of the business manager. Manhwa thought for a moment and said that Jo Xiang was a lucky charm. Jo Xiang was surprised. He didn't pay attention to the road and almost got hit by a truck. The protagonist almost got ice-skayed for the second time. He abruptly stopped the car and said that Manhwa's explanation wasn't sufficient. Manhwa then said that they always won during university days when she was with him. Jo Xiang said it was because of Manhwa's leadership, but Manhwa doubted he knew about it. Jo Xiang was left confused, and Manhwa told him that she brought him alone to increase their chances of success since he knew all the details about the project. Jo Xiang replied like a good subordinate, which made Manhwa laugh. Seeing Manhwa smile, Jo Xiang wondered who would be the lucky guy to marry her. Manhwa told him to stop teasing her or she would spill some tea to Ting Ting. Jo Xiang apologized, knowing that men would always be interested in Manhwa since university. Manhwa claimed that she didn't know about it. Jo Xiang knew she was clueless because he was the one who listened to those who got their hearts broken. Manhwa realized that Jo Xiang had sacrificed for her, and he confirmed that he still would. Jo Xiang got curious and wondered what type of man Manhwa liked. He promised to help her find a good man along with Ting Ting. However, Manhwa suddenly fell silent. Jo Xiang then reminded her that he would always take her side no matter what happened. Manhwa wondered if Jo Xiang had already made up with Ting Ting. Jo Xiang was surprised that Manhwa knew. She then mentioned how sad he looked days ago and how he suddenly became happy this morning. Jo Xiang couldn't believe it was so obvious. Manhwa asked again if they had made up, and Jo Xiang shyly confessed that they did. Manhwa then reminded him that Ting Ting was her best friend, and she would fire him if he hurt Ting Ting. Jo Xiang nervously said that he wouldn't dare, making Manhwa laugh out loud. The two soon arrived at the airport. While they were waiting for their flight, Jo Xiang was worried about how to set up a meeting between his and Ting Ting's parents. He decided to text Ting Ting about the upcoming business trip with Manhwa and asked her to arrange a hotel for their parents. He also sent the same messages through another messaging app. However, Manhwa noticed him copying and pasting messages between apps, and this made Jo Xiang nervous. Manhwa claimed that she only saw him open the app and not the actual message. Jo Xiang was concerned that their secret might be exposed, so he sighed and quietly mentioned that he was sending messages for both his and Ting Ting's parents. Manhwa overheard and asked if Ting Ting's aunt and uncle were really coming. She started to suspect that something might be going on. Jo Xiang quickly explained that they were just traveling around after retiring, but Manhwa was worried they might arrange a wedding and they would get married. Suddenly, both messaging apps alerted at the same time, and Jo Xiang checked them. This made Manhwa angry because she thought he was showing off that he was in a relationship. She told him to finish his personal matters so they could talk about work. Jo Xiang continued chatting with both apps, and they started to gossip about the celebrity who caused the sudden business trip. They kept chatting until one of the twins mentioned how copying and pasting saved Jo Xiang's time. Confused, he wondered what was going on. He then received a selfie from the younger twin, showing a laptop with both messaging apps open at the same time. Minhui couldn't believe the couple was joking around and blamed Zhou Xiang for leading her best friend astray. Zhou Xiang noticed his boss had been watching the whole time and got upset because his privacy had been violated. She reminded him to hurry since the announcement to board the plane had been made. She told him to get on the plane, and Zhou Xiang had no choice but to comply. On the way to board the plane, he asked for clarification about the messaging apps. The younger twin admitted that they both logged into the two accounts, but the older one was too busy to reply this time. Zhou Xiang got frustrated because they hadn't informed him of this arrangement. The younger twin blamed him for not asking about it and told him to go ahead and board the plane, leaving the matter about their parents to them. Zhou Xiang received their agreement and a playful smack on the head from Minhui. She scolded him for flirting during working hours and seemed irritated because of the couple's flirting through chatting. So yes, Minhui appeared to be somewhat jealous in this situation. On their way to catch the flight, Minhui pulled Zhou Xiang aside and scolded Yi Ting about their business. Zhou Xiang then asked his boss to release him, commenting that he looked like a slave. Minhui finally realized they were causing a scene when an old woman advised her to spare her husband embarrassment in public. Blushing, Minhui let go of Zhou Xiang. Feeling embarrassed, she urged him to hurry and blamed him for the awkward situation. Zhou Xiang couldn't help but sigh, seeing Minhui behaving just like before. Once on the plane, Zhou Xiang reminisced about Minhui from their university days. Back then, she took on a leadership role, dedicating her time to improving their group. Zhou Xiang drifted into memories, but Minhui noticed and asked about it. He explained he was thinking about their university days. Minhui, feeling nostalgic, stretched and remarked how it felt like a long time ago, even though only 2 to 3 years had passed. Zhou Xiang agreed, finding it interesting that his former leader was now his boss. Zhou Xiang pointed out that he was always around her, and Minhui questioned if that was a problem. Teasingly, Zhou Xiang said he felt unlucky, which made Minhui angry. She moved closer, making Zhou Xiang smile, and he playfully confessed that he was actually lucky because working under her was both steadfast and enjoyable. Minhui giggled, blushing at the remark. At that moment, Ting Ting called Zhou Xiang. Our main character thought it was the one related to work and spoke carefully to her to avoid raising suspicion from Minhui. Minhui watched Zhou Xiang with a sad expression. Ting Ting wondered if it was truly urgent, and Zhou Xiang confirmed they were on the plane. Ting Ting then mentioned that she had just finished her meeting and assured Zhou Xiang that she would take care of their parents. While holding someone's personal data, Ting Ting mentioned that the girl on it was a tough one and told her husband to be careful. Zhou Xiang thanked Ting Ting for their good work. Minhui noticed that Zhou Xiang mentioned Ting Ting in the plural and started complaining about their constant flirting. Zhou Xiang explained that he was acknowledging the good work of both Ting Ting and Minhui, as they were both working hard. Minhui asked to talk to Ting Ting, and Zhou Xiang quietly warned Ting Ting. Minhui exclaimed for them to stop flirting, and Zhou Xiang handed over his phone. Minhui scolded Ting Ting for distracting Zhou Xiang during work hours. She wondered if they were intentionally trying to make her feel jealous. Ting Ting denied it, saying she was concerned because Zhou Xiang hadn't prepared for the sudden trip. She questioned if Minhui would let Zhou Xiang, who might not have suitable clothes, meet a famous celebrity. Minhui realized that she too was dressed casually. The situation shifted as Ting Ting criticized Minhui for always rushing things and suggested buying clothes after they landed. Zhou Xiang, confused, looked for an explanation, and Minhui responded with a glare. Minhui eventually gave in, promising to buy Zhou Xiang some clothes. Ting Ting wished them luck and offered to help gather information. Minhui couldn't believe Ting Ting was spoiling him, and Zhou Xiang claimed he was always a casual guy who focused his brainpower on work. This angered Minhui, who expressed regret for matching him with Ting Ting, comparing it to a flower stuck in a dunghill. She then dragged Zhou Xiang and insisted on picking out an outfit for him. A while later, Zhou Xiang emerged wearing a new outfit, but the employees and Minhui looked at him strangely. Minhui developed a headache when Zhou Xiang questioned the quality of her fashion sense, especially since his hairy leg was drawing attention. She blamed the clothes, not her fashion taste, and then realized the size was incorrect, blaming Zhou Xiang for his long legs. Minhui had been busy helping Zhou Xiang try on various clothes until she started to complain. She couldn't understand how Ting Ting effortlessly chose outfits for Zhou Xiang. Realizing they were short on time, Zhou Xiang suggested seeking Ting Ting's assistance. Minhui agreed, and Zhou Xiang quickly grabbed his phone for a video call. However, he hesitated, concerned about potential conflicts between the two sisters. In the midst of his uncertainty, Manhwa took charge and dialed Ting Ting. Sanya could only hope that the sister at work would answer the call. Manhwa connected with Ting Ting and soon discovered she was at home. Confused, Manhwa and a nervous Sanya pondered the situation. Manhwa wondered about Ting Ting's attire during work hours. Upon realizing this, Ting Ting hurriedly excused herself, asking them to wait. Manhwa speculated if Ting Ting brought sleeping clothes to work, and Sanya hastily fabricated an explanation. Manhwa, uncertain, questioned whether that was the case, adding to Sanya's unease. When Ting Ting returned, she questioned if they had been talking negatively about her. Sanya denied it, and Ting Ting, jokingly, said her husband was a coward and asked why they called. Sanya explained the clothing dilemma, leaving Manhwa feeling embarrassed, and Ting Ting burst into laughter. Ting Ting clarified that finding the right size wasn't the only concern. She advised getting a size larger for Sanya, as it would suit him better. Playfully, she also suggested Manhwa buy her husband new socks due to his allegedly smelly feet, a claim Sanya strongly denied. Shortly after, Ting Ting inquired about Sanya's looks. Manhwa expressed regret for requesting Ting Ting to coordinate her husband's outfits and presented Sanya in a more fashionable attire. Ting Ting then exclaimed that it required considerable time and effort for them to assist Sanya in choosing his wardrobe, even expressing frustration about the shopping process. She continued to voice her complaints. Manhwa then asked her to stop complaining to her and gave the phone back to Sanya. Ting Ting attempted to complain more, but Manhwa informed her that they were running late and assured her they could discuss her concerns later. She concluded the call and handed the phone back to Sanya. Afterward, she paid for the clothes. Sanya attempted to pay for them, but Manhwa reminded him that they were on a business trip, so the company should cover the expenses. The two reached the tea house where they were supposed to meet someone. Time passed slowly, and they sat there in silence. An hour went by, but the person they were waiting for still hadn't shown up. Sanya was frustrated because they had rushed to get there. Manhwa told him to calm down, reminding him that they were in the middle of a war. The person they were waiting for was a very famous celebrity. Manhwa advised Sanya to see the waiting as a test. If the celebrity wanted to work with them, she would eventually arrive. Sanya commented that the celebrity was different from the image portrayed in advertisements and posters. In response, Manhwa informed him that the celebrity was more cunning than people thought and urged him to observe and learn. Sanya agreed quickly, and Manhwa chuckled, mentioning that she wasn't teaching him for free, she would extract the fruits of his hard work later. Sanya joked that he was already squeezed out, and any more would make Ting Ting, presumably someone else involved, mad. Manhwa countered, saying that normal people wouldn't even have a chance to be squeezed by her, and Sanya should be thankful. Suddenly, Sanya turned serious and thanked Manhwa for everything. This surprised Manhwa, who wondered what had gotten into him. Sanya used to tell her about his experiences after he graduated. He wandered through different companies because of bad bosses. Manhwa was the one who offered him a place where he felt his efforts and time weren't wasted. He felt sincerely thankful. However, Manhwa, feeling awkward, insisted that she only hired him because he was easy to manage. She claimed she wasn't kind at all. Sanya started to say something but abruptly changed his tone, promising to work hard for his boss, Manhwa. She responded by saying such promises wouldn't get him a salary raise. Unexpectedly, someone who expected them to be angry was surprised to see them acting affectionate. Sanya and Manhwa turned around and saw a girl. Manhwa, irritated, asked the girl about her intentions. The girl just smiled playfully. She approached Sanya and complimented his looks, expressing her liking for his clothes and enjoyment in seeing new things. Sanya professionally greeted her, but the girl unexpectedly grabbed his hand. Noticing Sanya's meek demeanor, she jokingly remarked that Manhwa would soon overpower him. Sanya mentioned having a girlfriend, leaving Manhwa speechless. The girl then speculated if Manhwa was considering being a mistress, finding it intriguing for social media attention. She believed that it could garner numerous likes and views. Confused, Sanya listened as the girl suggested he could gain millions of fans and followers in a month with his face. Seeing the girl flirt with Sanya, Manhwa couldn't take it anymore and told Enlay to stop teasing them. Enlay questioned if Manhwa was admitting that Sanya was hers. Frustrated, Manhwa asked if Enlay only came to tease and instructed Sanya to pay attention. In response, Sanya promptly straightened up like a corporate employee. and Lei giggled, apologized, and then sat down, proposing to discuss the main topic. Jokshinang had gulped nervously, beads of sweat forming on his forehead as he witnessed firsthand how Lei used her womanly assets to climb the ladder in the online industry. Lei instructed them to talk quickly since she had another scene to shoot. Jokshinang and Minhui sat down and discussed the contract they had agreed upon. Minhui pointed out that Jokshinang had worked hard for half a month, putting in overtime to design everything as Lei had requested. Things took a tense turn when Minhui slammed her hands on the table, questioning why Lei had violated their contract. Lei, with a smirk, reminded her that she hadn't actually signed anything, so it couldn't be considered a violation. Minhui urged Lei to consider integrity and noted that the company had invested a lot of time, resources, and funds in her. Lei dismissed her plea, asserting that as a budding online celebrity with her team, she aimed for more money and benefits. Minhui argued that collaboration was the best way forward, emphasizing that Lei and her team wouldn't progress without them. Lei, with a smile, revealed that they had already found someone offering better terms and benefits, leaving Jokshinang and Minhui feeling defeated. Amid Minhui's frustration over Lei's actions, she suddenly caught the scent of tea, and Jokshinang suggested she drink it to calm down. Feeling embarrassed about losing her composure, Minhui reached for the tea, all while Lei observed the unfolding drama with interest. Minhui reminded Lei that scammers were everywhere and her company wouldn't be one for her. Lei acknowledged that she could be a bit naive, but she also recognized her own value. She explained that someone familiar had offered her something, and she found it hard to reject. When Minhui asked for a solution, Lei suggested they meet up, and she would sign whatever would satisfy Minhui's concerns. Minhui warned Lei that her company might not hesitate to replace her, but Lei playfully dismissed the idea, saying she'd be unlucky if that happened. The meeting was set for the next day, which made Minhui upset. She told Jokshinang to leave with her, and Lei, in a playful manner, bid farewell to Jokshinang. Outside, Jokshinang tried to talk to Minhui, but she was really angry. Jokshinang then quietly followed her. Minhui noticed Jokshinang's silence and accidentally stepped into a sewer cover's gap. Jokshinang was there to help her and noticed her broken stiletto. It was completely shattered. Minhui took off the other stiletto and walked barefoot. She went to a trash bin, threw her stiletto, and cursed loudly, attracting the attention of some passersby. As Minhui tried to convey to Jokshinang to find something, Jokshinang assumed she wanted to find an internet cafe, and he quickly found one. Minhui was impressed that he understood her, and Jokshinang mentioned that he had been following her for many years. Whenever Minhui faced major troubles, she would always bring him and Ting Ting to an internet cafe, turning them into pros eventually. Minhui wondered if she was bothering them, but Jokshinang didn't hear her and suggested playing any games she wanted. Minhui couldn't help but smirk and chose a game. As she moved forward, she accidentally stepped on the wrong foot and fell to the ground. Jokshinang wanted to assist her, but Minhui insisted everything was okay. She began to walk away, but Jokshinang noticed that she was pushing herself. He took hold of his arm and asked if she could lend a hand because the shoes he had on didn't fit well. Minhui was initially surprised, but then scolded him for not mentioning it back at the store. Jokshinang just grinned foolishly. Minhui declared that they would go back to the store after playing some games. Later, at an internet cafe in a shooting game, a player called someone an idiot for looting in the open. He then noticed how Jokshinang smirked through the scope and soon got destroyed by Minhui. The two were really into the game and were surrounded by many enemies. A grenade was randomly thrown at them, but it bounced off Minhui's character. Is that even possible in a game? But Minhui said it was a bug. Minhui then dealt with the enemies and told her teammates to rush. However, they lost the game. Minhui claimed that Jokshing's game skills had dropped. Jokshinang blamed Minhui for always charging in like a madwoman and reminded her that it was always Ting Ting who covered for them. Minhui said dominating enemies with her aura was a strategy. Jokshinang sighed since Minhui played the same and remembered how the three of them, along with Ting Ting, had a formation. He then wondered if eating chicken would be refreshing. Minhui slammed the keyboard and left. Jokshinang followed suit, but he noticed that Minhui was getting attention for walking barefoot. He suggested buying some shoes first since he was worried about perverts looking at her legs. Minhui had been wondering if she would get attention solely based on her attire. Jokshinang assured her that she would always be in the spotlight, regardless of what she wore. His words made Min Hui blush, and she playfully scolded him for acting foolish. The two decided to go to a mall, where Min Hui finally found a new pair of shoes. Jok Shinan questioned why Enle suddenly wanted more profit and considered if a rival company could offer better terms. Meanwhile, Min Hui pondered if the new shoes suited her. Jok Shinan couldn't believe they weren't strategizing for the business yet, but Min Hui insisted on leaving it to fate. Once Jok Shinan confirmed that the shoes looked great on her, Min Hui quickly paid for them and mentioned they were meeting someone. When Jok Shinan inquired about the person, Min Hui revealed it was someone who had betrayed the company. Shocked, Jok Shinan asked who the culprit was. Min Hui disclosed that it was the business manager, and Jok Shinan questioned the motive behind such an action. Min Hui reminded him that only she, Jok Shinan, and the business manager knew the company's secret weapon and conditions. Fearing that Enle might not sign a contract with them, the brash celebrity raised the price and demanded better terms. Jok Shinan then asked why Min Hui suspected him of betrayal. In response, she ordered him to slap himself, and surprisingly, Jok Shinan complied. Min Hui laughed and dismissed him. Later at a coffee shop, Min Hui and Jok Shinan met with the business manager. Jok Shinan felt disgusted upon seeing him. The business manager then asked them what they would like to order, but Jok Shinan had already started acting hostile toward him. The business manager tried to calm things down and asked Min Hui why he was called, claiming he was still busy scouting online celebrities. An angered Min Hui attempted to raise his fist, but Jok Shinan stopped him. Min Hui then glared at the business manager, wondering how much rebate he would get from Enle. The business manager paused from drinking and claimed that it was trade secrets. Jok Shinan couldn't believe the business manager had betrayed them. The business manager then mentioned how the world moved fast, citing how many short film companies joined the trend and soon went bankrupt. Jok Shinan reminded him that their company was working day and night to stay afloat because of that trend. The business manager admitted that it was thanks to Jok Shinan that the company reached the top ranks in the entire country, but argued that they lacked creativity. He also stated that everyone worked hard to earn money and that anyone wanting to start a company should seize any chance. Min Hui interrupted, wondering if the business manager would still have the opportunity if they let go of Enle. The business manager had a surprised look when Min Hui asked her question. He thought it was strange because he knew Min Hui wouldn't just abandon the company and the people she cared about. Jok Shinan attempted to intervene, but Min Hui stopped him and instead threw a cup of water at the business manager. She insisted that she now understood the kind of people who could comprehend someone like the business manager, those who stood by him and those who sneakily lurked in the shadows to spy. She affirmed that he was correct. She wouldn't give up on everyone and the company. The business manager calmly wiped his wet face and glasses with tissues, but suddenly, Jok Shinan punched him. Jok Shinan called him trash for resorting to dishonest methods to make money. The business manager calmly picked up his broken glasses and mentioned how he needed to replace them already. He then told Min Hui that she was a very loyal follower, and he invited her. He wondered how she had trained Zhu Shang. Angered, Jok Shinan tried to punch him again, but Min Hui stopped him. Jok Shinan exclaimed that he really wanted to punch the guy, but Min Hui warned him that it would be a loss for both him and the company if he punched the business manager. She then took Jok Shinan's hand and put it in front of the business manager's face. She claimed that they had worked together for many years and they would help and trust each other. She emphasized that the business manager wouldn't face such issues if he chose a better path. The business manager could only click his tongue. Min Hui then tried to leave with Jok Shinan, but Jok Shinan still wanted to teach the business manager a lesson. In the end, they left as if Jok Shinan was raising the middle finger, leaving the business manager conflicted. Min Hui and Jok Shinan hurriedly left, and Jok Shinan instructed Min Hui to wait. Min Hui noticed she had been holding Jok Shinan's hand tightly and released it. She wondered if Jok Shinan was upset with her for stopping him. Surprisingly, Jok Shinan thanked her for preventing him. Min Hui smiled and wished that Ting Ting was with them, so they could all enjoy the nearby beach together. She remembers the time when the three of them went to Xiamen for a vacation. Jok Shinan said he couldn't forget about it. Suddenly, Jok Shinan's phone rang, and he looked surprised when checking a message. Min Hui wondered what was wrong, and Jok Shinan asked if he could go back to the hotel to take care of something personal. Min Hui asked if it was urgent, and Jok Shinan confirmed it. Min Hui told him to go ahead and reminded him to make a plan together later. Jok Shinan was concerned about his boss's leg, but Min Hui said she could still kick Jok Shinan with it. Jok Shinan left on his own, leaving Minhui sitting alone on a bench. Later at Xiamen Airport, Zhou Xiang anxiously waited for something or someone. Suddenly, someone called him by his nickname. It was Ting Ting. Zhou Xiang was puzzled about why she came, and Ting Ting claimed that she missed him. Zhou Xiang asked her to tell him the truth, and Ting Ting got upset, saying that her company had suddenly arranged a business trip to Xiamen for the next day. She said her sister was still packing, which is why she came early. Zhou Xiang remembered that Ting Ting's company didn't have any connections to Xiamen, and Ting Ting assumed they were meeting a new supplier. Zhou Xiang kept pondering and questioned why Ting Ting came early. Ting Ting called him dense and insisted that she missed him. She mentioned that in the past, she wouldn't have dared to come out of her room and flirt with Zhou Xiang. Zhou Xiang scolded Ting Ting, worried that they might expose themselves to others. Ting Ting told him to be quiet and blamed him for making her miss him and for making her his girlfriend. Zhou Xiang accepted it was his fault and wondered if Ting Ting could find someone else. Ting Ting called him stupid and explained that there were other people interested in her. Zhou Xiang mentioned that he still had something to discuss with Minhui. Ting Ting assumed that the business talks failed. Seeing Zhou Xiang's disappointed face, Ting Ting suggested going back to the hotel since she wanted to stay beside him. After their discussion, Ting Ting wanted to party with him. Zhou Xiang sighed and stopped walking. Ting Ting wondered if something was wrong. Zhou Xiang worried that Minhui might find out about them. Ting Ting reassured him, saying there was no need to worry, reminding him of how they had lived so far. They soon took a taxi, passing by Guilin Island. Zhou Xiang reminisced about their vacation there, surprised at how much progress they had made in society. Ting Ting, taken aback, asked for Zhou Xiang's thoughts. He laughed, held Ting Ting's hand, and said he felt fortunate to have them with him. "Understand how you felt, Mr. Taxi Driver. I feel the same way." Ting Ting had quickly pulled in Zhou Xiang and planted a kiss on his cheek. She giggled and stayed close to him, noticing the spot where Zhou Xiang accidentally took her first kiss. He insisted it was unintentional and promised not to repeat it. Ting Ting, upon hearing this, got upset and pinched him. In response, Zhou Xiang playfully pinched her cheeks, claiming that every kiss they shared was a first for him. Ting Ting couldn't believe how smooth Zhou Xiang could be. He laughed, mentioning they were creating romantic scenes, making it easy to please her. This annoyed Ting Ting, and she bit him. Zhou Xiang was surprised by her action. Ting Ting was just happy that she could act freely without fearing exposure. As Ting Ting was about to get closer to Zhou Xiang, his phone started ringing. It was Ting Ting from home. Despite Zhou Xiang's warning, Ting Ting snatched the phone and initiated a video call. The young Ting Ting appeared on the screen and wondered if the older Ting Ting had already reached Xiamen. She pondered where they were, and the older Ting Ting displayed how close she was to Zhou Xiang. The older one assumed that the younger Ting Ting had picked out Zhou Xiang's clothes. Zhou Xiang then questioned why the younger Ting Ting hadn't stopped her sister, fearing that they would be discovered. The younger one insisted she had tried to intervene. The older one then asked the younger one to fetch her swimsuit. The younger one reminded her that they were going on a business trip, not a vacation. However, the older one argued that they hadn't taken a vacation since they graduated and that they didn't need to keep their secret hidden anymore. The younger Ting Ting giggled and agreed to bring whatever she could. The older Ting Ting then mentioned bringing the striped panties she wore during their first time. Her words made Zhou Xiang feel embarrassed. Even the driver seemed uncomfortable. Zhou Xiang scolded them for talking about such things in public. Ting Ting then reassured Zhou Xiang, telling him not to worry since no one around knew them. The younger Ting Ting said goodbye to continue packing, and the call ended. Zhou Xiang looked more tired than before. Suddenly, Ting Ting touched his thighs and wondered if he was getting excited. Zhou Xiang was flustered and exclaimed that he only came to Xiamen for work. Later, at a hotel in Xiamen, Zhou Xiang and Ting Ting felt sweaty as the elevator moved. When it stopped, people poured out. The elevator closed and opened again. Zhou Xiang and Ting Ting looked around cautiously. They sneaked around while Zhou Xiang warned Ting Ting not to be seen by Minhui. Ting Ting pouted, insisting she wasn't foolish. They paused in front of the door next to Minhui's room, and Zhou Xiang handed Ting Ting his card key. Ting Ting wondered why they needed to be sneaky when there was nothing to worry about. At that moment, a door burst open and Minhui emerged. She looked to the side and saw Zhou Xiang acting strangely. Wondering why he was acting sneaky, she tried to figure out what he was up to. Zhou Xiang insisted it was nothing, but Minhui attempted to enter his room. She was certain someone was inside since Zhou Xiang was blocking her way. She speculated if he had brought a girl into his room. Zhou Xiang denied her assumption, claiming he wasn't that kind of person. Manhwa, skeptical, stomped on Zhou Xiang's foot, prompting him to move aside. Upon opening the door, she discovered Ting Ting squeezed behind it, completely hidden from her view. Manhwa scanned the room and noticed something on the floor, a questionable service contact card. Concerned for Ting Ting, Manhwa declared she would keep an eye on Zhou Xiang. He accepted the scolding about the card while shielding Ting Ting. Zhou Xiang said he wasn't that kind of man and questioned if she and Ting Ting would still believe him if he had been like that from the start. Manhwa said it was better to be careful to avoid such situations and took responsibility for Zhou Xiang's actions since she brought him along. Zhou Xiang then said goodbye to Manhwa, closed, and locked the door. Zhou Xiang and Ting Ting sighed in relief and shared a laugh. Ting Ting hugged him, saying they almost got caught. Zhou Xiang wondered if what they were doing was wrong. Ting Ting playfully bit his ears and said the secret would stay between the three of them. Zhou Xiang mentioned he still couldn't believe his situation. Ting Ting then suggested making things even more exciting, and Zhou Xiang asked how. Ting Ting approached him and kissed Zhou Xiang. They were both breathless, and Ting Ting said she would take a bath. Zhou Xiang told her to smell nicer, and Ting Ting got upset, thinking she must be stinking. Zhou Xiang hugged her and asked her to be quick. Ting Ting told him to lie on the bed while she undressed. As Zhou Xiang was undressing, Manhwa shouted from the other side of the door, asking about the girl's voice she heard. The two became anxious as Manhwa asked Zhou Xiang to open the door. Ting Ting didn't know what to do, and Zhou Xiang told her to hide. Ting Ting started hiding, but Zhou Xiang stopped her because her shoes were still on the doorstep. The knocking continued, and Zhou Xiang told Manhwa to wait. After Ting Ting grabbed her shoes, Zhou Xiang opened the door for Manhwa. Manhwa noticed a topless Zhou Xiang, making her flustered and questioning why he looked like that. She scolded him for opening the door while being topless. Zhou Xiang explained that he was preparing to shower when Manhwa called him. Manhwa returned the clothes Zhou Xiang wore in the morning. Suddenly, she remembered hearing a girl's voice, and Zhou Xiang claimed she must have heard wrong. Manhwa could see that Zhou Xiang was still not good at lying. Manhwa had stepped forward, making Zhou Xiang flustered. Feeling responsible for Ting Ting, she pushed him aside. Manhwa looked around until she found the room where a TV played a Japanese AV. Getting flustered, she wondered what Zhou Xiang was up to. Zhou Xiang insisted that Manhwa must have heard the girl's voice from the video. Manhwa called him a disgusting pervert and regretted introducing him to Ting Ting. Zhou Xiang argued that most couples watch such videos, and even Ting Ting had watched them together with him. Manhwa was speechless. Zhou Xiang told her she would understand once she started dating someone. Manhwa got mad and swore never to watch such things. She left Zhou Xiang's clothes behind, blaming him for teaching inappropriate things to Ting Ting. As Manhwa departed, Zhou Xiang felt tired already. At that moment, Manhwa noticed how Zhou Xiang covered the back of the door. Zhou Xiang realized he was in trouble. Manhwa looked at him with disbelief and tried to see what was behind the door. She asked him to move, but Zhou Xiang refused. Manhwa then kicked him aside and swung the door open. Instead of Ting Ting, she found a cockroach. Zhou Xiang insisted he would never cheat on Ting Ting and mentioned that almost all the guys were watching the video she had seen earlier. Frustrated, Manhwa left the room, closing the door but not totally closed since he could see the cockroach pass through a gap. In the shower room, Ting Ting was thinking about whether Manhwa had already left. She said she was really scared. Zhou Xiang insisted it was because of his plan, but Ting Ting kicked him for revealing that they used to watch adult videos together. Zhou Xiang seized this moment to playfully share his fascination with feet, making Ting Ting feel embarrassed. She pulled Zhou Xiang up, and he noticed her blushing. Ting Ting suggested they take a shower together, and Zhou Xiang agreed, making Ting Ting happy. Manhwa had returned abruptly because she had mistakenly taken the wrong bag. To her shock, she found her best friend and employee hugging each other while only half naked. Manhwa was surprised at seeing the two being touchy-feely. In response, Ting Ting insisted that Manhwa saw nothing and quickly fled to the shower room. Zhou Xiang urged Ting Ting to open the door, but Manhwa, feeling foolish witnessing the scene, called out to both of them. The two stood in front of her like trained soldiers. She asked for an explanation, and the two silently kneeled in front of her. Ting Ting, with teary eyes, tried to say something. Manhwa sighed and asked Ting Ting why she was hiding from her. Ting Ting then asked Manhwa to listen first. She glared at Zhu Xiang and asked for support. Zhu Xiang abandoned the ship, and Min Hui told Ting Ting to stop tricking her. She wondered why a busybody found time to visit Xiamen. Ting Ting claimed that she missed Min Hui, but her best friend doubted her since she was just hiding. Ting Ting then said she wanted to surprise her and glared at Zhu Xiang. Zhu Xiang agreed, claiming they were discussing how to surprise Min Hui. Min Hui wondered if that was really the case, making the two frightened. She noticed their suspicious behavior, and the couple couldn't say anything. Min Hui sighed and handed Zhu Xiang's clothes to Ting Ting. Ting Ting promised to reimburse her later, but Min Hui insisted it was unnecessary since it was part of the impromptu business trip. The couple exchanged glances. Min Hui informed them they had 1 hour and expressed disappointment at seeing Ting Ting picking up bad habits from Zhu Xiang. Ting Ting chuckled and whispered to Min Hui that she would teach her someday. Min Hui claimed she wasn't interested and left, instructing them to have dinner together before closing the door. Alone now, the couple exchanged glances once more. Ting Ting checked the door and locked it this time. They sighed, and Ting Ting expressed regret for hiding. Zhu Xiang then picked up Ting Ting and carried her, telling her to get started since they only had an hour. Ting Ting was taken aback and asked him to be gentle and quiet. The two began flirting, unaware that Min Hui was still behind the door, listening to them. The three of them had gone to a food stall near the beach, where the waitresses were quite attractive. Min Hui asked Ting Ting once again why someone as nosy as her had come to Xiamen. Ting Ting then admitted that she was actually on a business trip scheduled for the next day, but she had arrived early to meet them. Zhu Xiang was curious about why a tech company would send someone on a business trip. Ting Ting wasn't sure about the details due to some changes, and she was suddenly assigned to Xiamen without much information. Despite the uncertainty, she was happy to reunite on a trip, reminiscent of their university days. Min Hui then brought up how Ting Ting could be quiet or mischievous at times, even suggesting jokingly that she might be two people. Zhu Xiang dropped a piece of meat suddenly, which confused the girls. He said it was just a slip, but Ting Ting warned him not to be clumsy. Ting Ting then thought about whether Zhu Xiang was causing problems at her company, and Min Hui said she was always keeping an eye on him. Min Hui threatened Zhu Xiang with a salary deduction if he was messing things up. Zhu Xiang didn't want to risk it since the equipment they used was expensive, and he promised to take good care of it. Strangely, Ting Ting seemed jealous and wondered if Zhu Xiang cared more about the equipment than them. Zhu Xiang denied this, and Min Hui noticed Ting Ting referring to herself and Min Hui as people who also needed care. Min Hui asked Ting Ting not to involve her in their lovers' quarrel. After the grilled seafood got cooked, Zhu Xiang shared some with his boss. Zhu Xiang then asked Ting Ting if she wanted a prawn, and Min Hui couldn't believe that he didn't know what Ting Ting didn't like after such a long time. Zhu Xiang reminded her that Ting Ting was a two-sided person, just like she had mentioned earlier, and he needed confirmation. Ting Ting claimed she wanted to eat everything, including prawns, so she was the one who enjoyed eating prawns. Zhu Xiang then placed some prawns on a plate and began peeling off the skins. He offered it to Ting Ting, but she preferred to be fed by him. As they sweetly fed each other, Min Hui couldn't help but feel jealous and trembled with envy. At that moment, Min Hui and Zhu Xiang heard a voice they recognized, asking why they were hanging out together. To check if they were right, they glanced to the side and saw Enle, who was shooting a promo video for the food stall. All of a sudden, Enle spotted Ting Ting and got curious about her. Ting Ting dismissed Enle, but then Enle surprised everyone by sitting down beside Zhu Xiang. Ting Ting couldn't figure out why she was bothering them. Enle said she wanted to have dinner with them, and Min Hui warmly welcomed her. However, Min Hui used to threaten her, insisting that she sit beside her or face the consequence of being treated alone later. Enle playfully told her not to be so serious and quickly moved to sit next to Min Hui, expressing how hungry she felt. Ting Ting, sitting beside Zhu Xiang, pouted. Enle then casually asked Zhu Xiang for some scallops, causing him to blush and start cooking for her. Ting Ting, not pleased with Enle's presence, scowled. Enle, noticing Min Hui's expression, smiled mischievously as if planning something. As the scallops sizzled in the pan, Enle began praising Zhu Xiang. Curious, he asked Zhu Xiang how he had met his girlfriend. Before he could answer, Ting Ting covered his mouth and scolded Enle for prying into someone's private life. Enle ignored her, helping herself to a scallop. She urged everyone to enjoy the food. Zhu Xiang playfully pushed Ting Ting aside, making her annoyed. Ting Ting then requested squid to be cooked, and Enle, as if in competition, made the same request. The two of them devoured their food eagerly, making Minhui laugh. Zhou Shenang ordered more seafood, and everyone happily indulged in their dinner. Enle had exclaimed about how full she was and worried about her weight. Ting Ting told her that no one had asked her to join them. Minhui asked them to simmer down and sought support from Zhou Shenang. Ting Ting claimed that she only wanted to spend time with Minhui and Zhou Shenang. As Enle wondered what would happen next, Minhui suggested that they needed to rest. Suddenly, Enle proposed playing a game of truth or dare. Ting Ting and Zhou Shenang declined since it was getting late. Enle then offered to tell them who had offered better conditions than them. She wondered if they were scared, and Ting Ting snapped. Minhui then asked the waiter for the bill. Later at the beach, Zhou Shenang, Ting Ting, and Minhui sat down to reminisce memories. Zhou Shenang recalled the time when they had played truth or dare during their student trip. Minhui laughed, saying it was thanks to her that Zhou Shenang managed to pursue Ting Ting. Ting Ting claimed that she wasn't easy to pursue. Zhou Shenang then confessed that it was all thanks to Minhui. Minhui was glad that Zhou Shenang was thankful. At that moment, Enle approached with some cans of beer and barbecue. Zhou Shenang and Minhui fell silent. Enle placed what she brought on the table, grabbed a can of beer, and drank it down. She then declared the beginning of their game and snapped some chopsticks. The person with the shortest stick had to answer questions, while the rest stayed silent. Enle decided to draw first, and Ting Ting objected. Surprisingly, Enle intentionally picked the shortest stick, catching everyone off guard. Zhou Shenang questioned if it was allowed, and Enle was okay with it. She encouraged them to proceed, and Ting Ting started flexing her knuckles. Ting Ting requested Enle to make a promise since they didn't have lie detectors. Enle vowed not to tell lies or else she wouldn't get a handsome boyfriend for life. The adults were annoyed, and Ting Ting escalated things physically. Enle argued that it was a big deal for her since she liked handsome boys. Ting Ting argued that Enle was just pretending and suggested a consequence like never finding true love. Zhou Shenang and Minhui thought it was too extreme. Surprisingly, Enle agreed to Ting Ting's suggestion and made the promise. She then urged them to start asking questions. Ting Ting inquired about which company offered her better conditions. Enle went completely silent. Ting Ting proposed a dare as punishment and spotted a dodgy-looking man nearby, instructing Enle to kiss him for 30 seconds. Witnessing the man's inappropriate behavior, Zhou Shenang and Minhui were shocked and concerned. Enle called Ting Ting a bad person, and Ting Ting blamed Enle for proposing the game. Enle requested a beer, and Zhou Shenang handed her one. She downed the beer and playfully asked Zhou Shenang to start counting. Zhou Shenang had suddenly become shy, and Ting Ting immediately warned her to stay away from her belongings. Enle decided to leave and went to kiss an elderly man. The old man was surprised, and onlookers began recording videos and taking photos. When the timer hit 30 seconds, Zhou Shenang told Enle to stop. Enle stepped back from the old man who had been hitting on her, but she rejected him. Enle then returned and asked for her phone, insisting that the 30 seconds had passed and that it was her first kiss. The couple was shocked by this revelation, and Zhou Shenang apologized. However, Enle reassured them, saying it was fine because the old man had offered to recommend her to his group of nerds. Everyone was taken aback by her unexpected behavior. Feeling excited, Enle encouraged them to continue. The couple fell silent, but Minhui started praising Enle, saying she had piqued her interest. Enle felt the same way. The night continued, and the group kept playing truth or dare. At one point, Enle felt a bit disappointed that she didn't draw the short stick. Zhou Shenang also didn't get it, but Ting Ting ended up with the shortest one. Since Minhui had the longest stick, it was now her turn to ask questions. Zhou Shenang mentioned that things would have been more relaxed if it was just the three of them. Ting Ting got a bit worried, and Enle asked her to take an oath first. Ting Ting swore, mimicking the oath Enle had taken earlier, making Zhou Shenang nervous. Minhui noticed his reaction and commented on how the couple had been acting strangely lately. She thought they were hiding something from her. The two went silent, and Ting Ting started acting flustered. Enle then reminded them to decide on the dare punishment. Zhou Shenang suggested a milder punishment since it was Ting Ting's turn. Minhui pondered, and the couple became anxious. Eventually, Minhui came up with a dare. She recalled the time when they played games on the beach. Ting Ting didn't lose even once. The couple got more anxious while Enle was getting excited. Zhou Shenang thought that this game was risky for the twins. Worried, Ting Ting signaled to Zhu Xiang for help. She wondered what to say since she can't lie. Seeing the two kept signaling each other, Minhui wondered what they were doing. The two fell silent until Ting Ting stood up to do the dare challenge, and Le just smirked at them. Worried, Zhou Xiang wondered if Minhui could change the challenge, but Minhui refused. Ting Ting claimed it was a piece of cake and claimed that she was still the same. She then told Ting Ting that she was not hiding something on purpose and would definitely tell her in the future. The two came into an agreement in the end. Minhui told her to quickly finish it, and Ting Ting ran quite a distance. She stood in front of the crowd and shouted Team Rocket's quote from Pokemon like she was both Jessie and James. People started filming her and praised her for doing it well. She thanked her audience, and Love found her amazing and felt it a waste that Ting Ting was not an online celebrity. Zhou Xiang was amazed since it was the same. Ting Ting felt embarrassed and snatched the bottle of wine and drank it by herself. Minhui stopped her and told the couple to stop acting stupid kids. Watching them, and Le found it interesting and suggested to continue the game. Everyone agreed. Suddenly, Ting Ting celebrated since it was her turn to ask and thought of doing something bad. She asked who got the shortest stick and found out that it was Minhui. Minhui claimed Ting Ting's menacing smile was scaring her. Ting Ting recalled how Minhui kept dodging questions before, and it was finally her chance to ask something she always wanted to ask. Zhou Xiang wondered what it was. Meanwhile, Le was getting excited and told Minhui to swear. Minhui started hesitating, and Le reminded her that both she and Ting Ting had gone along with it. She whispered to Minhui that it was her turn now. After thinking for a moment, Minhui sighed and pledged the same thing as the others. Ting Ting then asked Minhui what kind of guy she liked, despite receiving numerous confessions since her university days. Minhui suddenly felt anxious, and Ting Ting proposed a dare. She suggested that Minhui confess who was the first guy on her contact list. Minhui quickly checked her phone and discovered a contact named Stupid A. Ting Ting wondered who it was, and Minhui promptly hid it, and Le mischievously smiled and glanced at Zhu Xiang. She told Minhui to spill the beans. Minhui then shared that she had always been alone since her parents were busy with work. She studied and worked hard for them. However, even as a university student, they still didn't give her time to spend with them. Zhou Xiang noticed her sad expression, and Minhui claimed she only wanted someone to eat, talk, and laugh with. While saying those words, she could only think of Zhu Xiang. Minhui desired a person who would always be with her, and Zhou Xiang stared at her with concern. And Le remarked that Minhui's request seemed hard to fulfill and jokingly assumed she might be single forever. Minhui told her to let it be if that was the case, surprising Zhu Xiang. On the other hand, Ting Ting started crying and quickly hugged Minhui. She declared she wouldn't let Minhui be alone and promised to be with her forever, even living with her. Minhui sighed and smiled, wondering what was up with Ting Ting's expression. Their scene suddenly turned romantic, and Le began to wonder if Zhu Xiang was getting jealous. Zhou Xiang claimed he already knew the two too well. Minhui teased that her time with Ting Ting was far longer than the couple's time together. Zhou Xiang couldn't say anything, and Minhui laughed like a villain. Everyone continued drinking, leaving Zhu Xiang feeling defeated. He was surprised that the girls quickly hit it off and found it a bit intimidating. The game continued, and Ting Ting wondered aloud why it was her turn. Zhou Xiang celebrated because it was his turn to ask a question. Ting Ting got the shortest stick and noticed Zhou Xiang's expression. She wondered what kind of dirty things he was thinking. Minhui told her not to threaten her boyfriend to go easy on her, but Ting Ting didn't care and told him to bring it on. However, she still threatened her boyfriend if he embarrassed her. Zhou Xiang didn't say anything yet, and Le gave him another bottle. Ting Ting got mad and claimed that no one would care for him if he got drunk. And Le offered to bring him to her room if that was the case, and Ting Ting turned violent. Minhui laughed, and Zhou Xiang sighed. He wondered if he should ask about the video where Ting Ting was crying. Then he chugged down the whole bottle and decided to ask a question. For the dare punishment, Ting Ting had to shout out loud to the crowd that she was a pig. Ting Ting got mad. Zhou Xiang claimed he was her pig, so they should be the same kind. And Li objected since he was obviously going easy on his girlfriend. Zhou Xiang then started his question and asked Ting Ting if she recalled his decision to be with her for the rest of his life, and the second half of his life had begun. Ting Ting was surprised and wondered why Zhou Xiang was bringing it up. As Zhou Xiang tried to continue, he recalled the sight of Ting Ting crying. He sighed and asked if Ting Ting felt happy at that certain time he called her. His question confused Minhui. Zhou Xianong was curious if it was obvious, thinking about Ting Ting in the video, and Love found the question simple and complained. Just then, Ting Ting repeated Zhou Xiang's words, asking him to say the same thing every year. Manhwa noticed something, making him less suspicious. Zhou Xiang anxiously looked at his girlfriend. Ting Ting said it was a line from a movie, claiming it would make her happy and wondering if Zhou Xiang felt the same. Zhou Xiang then realized the crying Ting Ting wasn't the one in front of him. It must be the one at home. Ting Ting asked what was wrong, and Zhou Xiang promised to continue saying those words for her. Ting Ting was happy and told him to keep his promise. Zhou Xiang wondered what he did to make the other Ting Ting cry so much. Manhwa stared at the couple being affectionate, and Lei reminded them they were playing truth or dare, not flirting, and suggested making the game more exciting. She got annoyed and said the game should be more thrilling, throwing a beer toward Manhwa, and they shared the drinks. Ting Ting, seeing them chugging down beers, wondered what happened. She joined them, and Zhou Xiang warned not to drink too much. Ting Ting complained about the embarrassing question Zhou Xiang asked. Zhou Xiang continued pondering the issue. Ting Ting insisted on continuing the game despite her initial protest. Seeing her boyfriend lost in thought, Ting Ting wondered what Zhou Xiang was thinking. She had told him to stop daydreaming and continue the game. Zhou Xiang then agreed to continue the game, and Lo wondered what was good with a daydreaming man like him. Ting Ting got mad and grabbed Zhou Xiang, claiming that she wouldn't know unless he was used. However, she asserted that Le wouldn't know since she wouldn't have the chance, and Le got speechless and Manhwa laughed out loud. They then continued the game while listening to the waves and surrounding a bonfire. Zhou Xiang was safe, but Le was not. She was then forced to kiss a random person again. The man left in tears due to happiness. For the next round, it was Le's turn to ask or dare Manhwa. Manhwa was then forced to undress and show her brassiere and chug down a bottle of alcohol. The game continued and Zhou Xiang became the sacrificial lamb next. He was subjected to becoming a sand sculpture and even got weird features. Le stabbed a twig in a certain area and Ting Ting scolded her. Manhwa then noticed the twig trembling and Zhou Xiang looked like he was dying. The girls started laughing at him. The night continued and more people came to the beach. The girls continued enjoying the night. Zhou Xiang was glad to get some relaxation, but he was still feeling uneasy on the inside. Ting Ting told him that she wanted to sleep while hugging him. Zhou Xiang wondered if he was feeling weird because of the alcohol. Ting Ting then sleep-talked that she and her sister were happy, and Lei and Manhwa were surprised to hear her words. Zhou Xiang was surprised and quickly covered Ting Ting's mouth, claiming that she tended to talk nonsense when she was drunk. However, the other girls doubted it, and Le then crawled towards them, expressing her desire to hear more. Zhou Xiang panicked and told her to stay back. Manhwa grabbed Le's arm to stop her, and Lei questioned whether Manhwa, being a media person, was not curious at all. Manhwa gripped Le's arm too hard, and Lei gave up on asking. The situation became awkward between the two, and it was the first time Zhou Xiang had seen Manhwa act like that. Suddenly, a drunk Ting Ting rejoined the drinking, and Zhou Xiang wondered what they should do about them. Manhwa checked her phone and told him to go back, and Lei asked for another round, but Manhwa ignored her. Ting Ting agreed that it was only one night and they should enjoy and play more. And Le cutely begged for one more round, causing Zhou Xiang to get a headache since he and Manhwa still had work to do. Suddenly, Ting Ting wondered if Le didn't have friends, and Le was surprised and fell silent, admitting that she didn't have friends at all. Her mood changed when Ting Ting put her feet on Le's face. Zhou Xiang scolded Ting Ting for drinking too much and told her to apologize. Since Ting Ting wasn't listening, Zhou Xiang confiscated the bottle, and Ting Ting apologized. Zhou Xiang sighed and patted Ting Ting's head, and Len noticed how Manhwa looked lonely. She suggested one more round and promised to answer any questions. She asked if it was fine, and everyone agreed in the end. The game continued with another round, and Manhwa ended up with the shortest stick. And Le, taking her turn, glanced at Manhwa, who was starting to feel a bit nervous. And Le pondered about what to ask and eventually inquired about what Manhwa's favorite person looked like, reminding her to swear before answering. Nervously, Manhwa looked at the excited couple, trying to say something. However, Le interrupted, urging her to wait because the dare punishment hadn't been mentioned yet. And Le then instructed Manhwa to pull down Zhou Xiang's pants. Ting Ting protested, claiming Zhou Xiang was hers, but Le insisted that Manhwa had to decide. Leaning toward Manhwa, she emphasized that nobody would know if she told the truth. Manhwa stood up, suggesting they clear the trash before leaving. The couple obediently followed, behaving like well-trained soldiers. As everyone picked up their trash, and Le wondered why the couple always did what Manhwa said. Reconciling explained that Manhwa was always quick to help whenever they needed something. And Le, surprised, looked at Manhwa. In the meantime, Ting Ting expressed her love for Manhwa, referring to her as a reliable sister. Manhwa noticed Ting Ting's words. Reconciling tried to cover it up by saying that Ting Ting and Manhwa were like sisters. Ting Ting got upset, and Enlei was pleased to hear that they considered each other as sisters. Manhwa scolded them for chatting around, and the couple apologized for their silly behavior. That's it for today's video. Give it a like and subscribe for more recaps. See you next time.